I had my microphone muted. Oh, goodness me. Good morning. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Very much appreciated that you're all here. You can tell that, I'm not in the usual surroundings if I can't even unmute my mic when I start. But good morning to everybody joining us. Very much appreciate your time as always. Jumping into the chat box, let's see who is with us. Johnny, good morning to you. To Peeny Ween, to Amira, Paul, Jose, Louis, Peter, Vivian, we've got Prince, John, Olawale, Stephen, Stevie, Ephraim, we've got Sybil Salads, we've got John, Josh, Temi, Peter, Morgie, and plenty more of you guys joining us as well. Thank you as always. The car looks weird. Yeah, not in the car this morning, certainly just in the hotel room today. No cars. It's not in the New Forest anymore. But yes, Richard, welcome to the Cotswolds. Thank you very much. Having a lovely, lovely time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and joining us in not so usual surroundings. As you can see, it's going to be this for the next couple of days. Well, today and tomorrow, back to normal on Monday. But we're talking about the game in tomorrow's show. Arsenal face off against Fulham at 3:00 this afternoon at the Emirates Stadium. Very much looking forward to that. And hopefully Arsenal getting a very Fulham, of course, without Tim Ream, now without Alexander Mitrovic after he left to join Al Hilal, I think it was. So, yeah, certainly very excited for the game later on today and looking forward to seeing what happens. But we've got a lot of news to talk about between now and then. So without further ado, let's crack on with today's stories. First of all, Chelsea winning last night in their Premier League fixture against Luton Town, a relatively comfortable win. 3-0 was the scoreline. Raheem Sterling. Anyone got him in their fantasy team? Because I didn't. I haven't got him in my fantasy team, which is, I know some people hate fantasy and go, well, why would you celebrate the fact that you got a Chelsea player? Well, it's not about that. You disassociate yourself from it. You've got to be in a position where you're like, you're just good at guessing who's going to do well that week. And I wouldn't be panicking from a Chelsea perspective about this, to be honest. Luton were and are not the best team. And certainly I feel are going to be on the bad end of probably potentially the worst points tally of any Premier League sides in potentially the league's history. I think Derby got something like 17 or something like that, so it's going to be pretty hard to beat that. But I think there's a good chance they might be one of the earliest teams to be relegated in Premier League history. But let's wait and see what ends up happening with Luton. But after 2 games, they've only played 2, of course, because their game against Burnley was postponed whilst their stadium goes under renovations. But they lost quite considerably to, was it Wolves? Brighton? Someone on the first day. And now lost 3-0 to a bottom half of the Premier League team in Chelsea. So, yeah, not going all that well for them. Saka, meanwhile, has been talking and speaking about Arsenal's ambitions as a club and what they're hoping to achieve as a club as well. He was asked in The Guardian, talking specifically about the Premier League season. He says, we are working towards that every day. So, that's what we all want to achieve, but we have to do more talking on the pitch. He was asked about Declan Rice, and he said he adds a lot. It's quality, leadership, desire. He's just everywhere, and he's going to be a really big addition for us. You can already see the impact that he is having on us. You can read the full interview, of course, in the Guardian. If you want to read that with Bukayo Saka, that's Donald McRae, I believe, has done the article. So there you go. Go and check it out in The Guardian this week. But moving forward, Mikel Arteta undertook his press conference and it's going to be interesting to see some of the answers to these questions because there were some very, very high-level topics to discuss, some polarizing topics and some controversies as well. I did enjoy how the press conference kicked off with Moose asking Arteta how he was, saying good, asking how Moose was, who was in goal for us at the Emirates, of course, when we did our live vlog day there, and just simply not bad. But Arteta not understanding what not bad means. But everyone in England says not bad. not knowing really what they mean when they say not bad. But it was a good exchange. If you haven't yet watched the press conference back, I would recommend it. It was a good one. He was in a good mood, which is good to see because he's not always in the best of mood for those press conferences. So he was really good, I thought, in the press conference, actually. But on Gabriel Jesus, that was the really big news that he discussed in the press conference, of course. He says, we're really happy. Obviously, it was a big blow for him after pre-season that he had to have another surgery, but he's looking really sharp and trained the full week really good, so he's ready to go. And so I think it was, I can't remember who it was that asked the question. It might have been Cottrell that asked the question. But he was asked about whether or not he'd be, he wouldn't be, it was like, you wouldn't be involved against Fulham, would he? And he was like, he's ready to go. Yeah. So let's see if he starts the match today. It'd be very interesting to see if he is indeed in the squads. I talked about this yesterday. For me, like, if he's ready to go, start him. I know some people would say, get him back, react, get him off the bench, that sort of thing. But if he's ready, start him. He's good enough. And Eddie Nketiah, while scoring against Nottingham Forest and had an okay game, a decent game, more than decent game, to be fair, against Crystal Palace, hasn't done enough in those two games for me to think Jesus shouldn't be coming straight back into the team at this moment in time. If he was out for a bit longer, then we would have given Nketiah the chance. But we need to get Jesus in, firing, ready, get him minutes on the field. And yeah, I would start him. If he thinks that he's ready, if the doctors are happy, start him in this game. I put him in my dream lineup, and I'd certainly put him in there if he is indeed available. Asked about Folarin Balogun's future, obviously, he said, we cannot say anything. There is some movements, but we cannot get dragged into individuals because there is nothing concrete. And he was asked about Kieran Tierney, and obviously he said the same answer that you expect, which is, again, there's nothing resolved, so we can't tell you about that at the moment. He was asked about the importance of getting kind of a squad settled, and he said it's really important, especially for the players and everybody's needs, to have clarity in their roles when they're playing, and obviously their families as well. We need clarity in the amount of numbers that we're going to have and who can do what. But until the window is shut, it's still a bit strange to be competing already in different competitions and the window still being open. But we have to deal with that. It's happened for a long time and we're used to it. He was then asked about Gabriel, and he says that Gabby is a really important player for us and there is nothing going on with that at the moment. He was asked a few more questions about Saudi Arabia as well, and kind of the presence of the Saudi Pro League and how big of a threat it is to the Premier League. And he says it's another competitor and it brings all the opportunities for players, managers and people that work in the industry to decide. At the end, we are free to decide when clubs, players or whoever has to agree to something. You have to have the intention to go and you need to find the agreement. So there will be a contract. If people agree to go, but we don't agree to sell them, it cannot go 2 or 3 different ways. And then he was asked about whether or not the money being spent there is something he's thought about. And he says the player has to be willing to go and the club has to be willing to sell him. So we will still have that choice. Contractually, especially in this country, you are very protected. At the end, I don't think all the responsibility is for them. They have resources like we have. Other countries will look at the Premier League and say, if a Premier League club comes in, we are dead. But still, a lot of things have to happen. It's another competitor, that's for sure. And that obviously links into kind of the Gabriel thing. He also said around the kind of the Pro League about rejecting offers, and he says if anyone came in from the Pro League in the next couple of weeks for any of our big players, would he reject them? And he said the principle would be that, but I cannot make the decision for the club, and there is a lot of people involved in the process who would have a say on it. It would be on a table like any other offer, and we would have to have a look at it, but it's not ideal because now it's a competitor. So it is very, very interesting to see. It's very interesting to see like him talk about kind of so dismissively of any potential bids. I think that's good. You want the coach to be in a position where he's just turning down any potential, offers that are coming in the next couple of weeks, because that's really important. And then moving into another really important question, he was asked about Luis Rubiales, of course, after the controversy of the Women's World Cup final, in which he was videoed being frankly inappropriate with a lot of the Spanish players and Hermoso in particular. And he was asked about that and he said, for sure. And hopefully it doesn't, because I'm extremely proud of what they've done. I think the whole country is, but I don't have the full details. Sorry, I cannot comment on what happened today, but it is sad that this is happening while everybody should be celebrating. Extremely proud of what they, being the women's football team and the players have done. I think it's just kind of crazy seeing the press conference that we all saw yesterday with Rubiales saying that he's not stepping down, and fair play to the Spanish women's team that are saying that they're not going to play another game until until that he steps down. And I hope that certainly is the case, and I hope that he does step down, because it was really inappropriate and horrific scenes, to be honest, after the final. So yeah, not good. But I thought Mikel Arteta handled that really, really well. Moving forwards to other stories and transfers in particular, Brighton are keen on Lokonga, but only as a alternative to Folarin Balogun, who is the Lille midfielder that they want to sign. As we've mentioned before, Monaco could become a potential destination. I've been saying, for a few days now that France is probably the most likely destination for Lokonga. Let's wait and see if any other clubs come to the fore. Monaco was mentioned to me, but it could be others. France has got a lot of teams that might be interested in taking Lokonga for a season. Wherever he goes, Lokonga has to play, So hopefully we find a destination for him where he can get a regular minute or two, playing week in, week out, and raising his value, raising his profile, so that in 2024 we can get a good sale for him. And lastly, Balogun's price tag. We talked yesterday about how Fabrice Hawkins of RMC Sport reported that it would be a 45 million euro deal that was being discussed. In the last 24 to 48 hours, the final details between Arsenal and Monaco have been discussed, and reports are suggesting now, plenty of reports, that it will be a 40 million euro deal, a 30 million euro guaranteed fee, with 10 million euros in what is described to me as achievable add-ons. So ultimately, you're looking at around 35 million pounds in total for Folarin Balogun, and this has sparked quite a lot of frustration online. I'm not in the crowd of people that are frustrated about this. I said to people at the beginning of the window that I thought it would be about 35 million pounds, 30 to 35 million pounds that we would get for Balogun, and that certainly has turned out to be the case in the end. I had a few debates. I'm sure that when we do our phone-in shows towards the end of the window next week and the week after, there'll be people, still frustrated about how much money we end up getting. It seems that we will get the record fee, because the record fee is around 35 million pounds. It's just over that, I believe, for Oxlade-Chamberlain. So Arsenal should hopefully still get their record deal and sale for Balogun. But for an academy player that's not played more than 2 or 3 Premier League appearances, and I think one of them was a start against Brentford, and the rest of those are substitute performances. Ultimately, Arsenal have done really, really well. What's really good about this is that the negotiations towards the end of this deal being agreed was to do a lot with the sell-on clause. Now, we're still trying to find out what that sell-on clause is. It's Fabrizio Romano described it as a, quote, significant sell-on clause. Now, it depends on your use of language. I wouldn't describe a 10% sell-on clause as significant. I would describe a 20% sell-on clause as significant. So I'm hoping it's looking more toward the 20% number than the 10% number. If it's 10%, I think it could have been better. But 20% obviously represents Arsenal potentially getting a very good thing. And people shouldn't be frustrated about this. Those that are saying that, this guy could be worth 80 odd million in a window one day. Well, if they sell him for 80 million quid, Arsenal will be getting 16 million pounds in a 20% sell-on clause, or 8 million pounds in a 10% sell-on clause. If he's sold for even 60 million pounds in the future, they would be getting 12 million on top of that as well, that they've already paid. So it's very likely that with that sell-on clause, Arsenal will end up getting a figure in total that goes well beyond what their record sale is right now. And also, people have suggested that, clubs like Manchester City have been doing really, really well with players that have been sold from their academy. But I'm pretty sure that this is a higher price than Man City have ever got for any of their academy talents. I know that Chelsea obviously have sold Mason Mount for a significant amount of money this summer, but he's played a number of seasons in the Premier League, won the Champions League with Chelsea too, of course, as well. And he moved for about, 60 million pounds, something like that. And then Liverpool, I don't think Liverpool have a player. Some people said Sterling, but Sterling was at Liverpool, I think, for 2 years. He joined in 2016 from QPR after spending something like 7 years with QPR in their youth academy before moving to Liverpool. So I'm not sure I equate that to the same kind of deal as Balogun, who's been at the club since in his single-digit years. So ultimately, with 2 years left on his deal, getting 35 million pounds is really, really good. So very happy with that indeed. And hopefully we continue with this thread and we see more sales in the future between now and the end of the window, like Nuno Tavares, like Cedric, Pepe, and we continue to push towards potentially a £100 million recoup of funds this window, which would be absolutely brilliant. Right then, I do need to tell you, of course, less smooth today because my head's all scrambled and stuff. But you need to know about this deal for NordVPN because it is a fantastic offer that we've got available to you. Today and tomorrow is the last days that you're going to be able to get involved in this. So please make sure that you do. NordVPN offer you a fantastic service of keeping you safe and secure online, of course, giving you the ability to keep those pesky Todd Bowleys away from looking at what you're doing on your tablet, your laptop, your phone, all of these different types of things. If you go to nordvpn.com/Gooner, you get yourself a significant discount off a 1 or 2 year plan. And not only that, by going to and using that exclusive link, you can get 4 months extra free off a 2 year plan on top of your 2 year plan as well, which would be an absolute bargain. And not only that, but if you're not happy with the service, you get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If there's a VPN service for you, it's certainly going to be Nord. And if you're going back to school, or you've got little ones going back to school, it's worth you getting them involved in this and keeping them safe and secure online. Right, let's move to part 2 and your questions then right after this. Okay, questions in the chat box. Let's go to Maya says, how much do you think Cole Palmer would be worth? Good question. He's played Premier League minutes, of course. He's got more opportunities in the Premier League than Balogun has for Man City. I think they were quoting a price at around £30 million this summer. So Cole Palmer price. Let me have a quick check. I'm pretty sure I saw some reports suggesting he was going, £30 million is what Man City are asking for Cole Palmer, who has been with City, and played in the Premier League, scored, of course, against Arsenal in that Community Shield final as well. So, yeah, I think that even the most likely of top talents that City have that could be sold isn't eclipsing what Arsenal have made for Folarin Balogun. So, yeah, certainly overall, another really good comparison to show what a good deal Arsenal have got for Balogun. Esmond says, I would like to see how we could put Eddie and Jesus playing together. I mean, why not try it? Eddie in the front with Jesus behind him, or both playing, Jesus play on the wing to relieve Saka and Martinelli. I think that Saka would probably drop out in some games for Jesus if you were to play them together. I think Jesus has played on the right wing a number of times and for City as well. So it would make sense if you're going to bring in Jesus for anyone, it would probably be Saka to give him a bit of a rest and playing with Nketiah up top. Sabot Tom says, did City get anything for Lavia? I think they did. Lavia sell-on clause. I'm pretty sure they got something like 20% or something. It's been reported in some quarters that the buyback clause is worth 40 million. Yes. I'm trying to find what the sell-on is, though. Sell. Details surrounding clause in the deal have also emerged. The Blues reportedly having a sell-on clause valued at 20% and the opportunity to match any future bids for the Belgium Youth International. It's been reported that that the buyback is about 40 million. Chelsea paid 50, so City got about £10 million for Lavia. I think they sold him for something like £12 million. They got about £22 million in total for Lavia. So I ended up doing very, very well off the back of that deal. But still didn't get as much money as Arsenal did, nowhere near for Balogun. So yeah, Darren says, we got 27 million for Balogun. We've got no idea if add-ons will be achieved. Darren, what I can tell you is that those add-ons are very much expected to be achieved. And it's not a case of like we can pick and choose when we talk about add-ons for deals and when we can't talk about add-ons for deals, because we're starting to talk about saying how much Arsenal have paid for. So many people will criticise how much we paid for Havertz, except the Havertz deal has add-ons. People criticise the Rice deal. Rice deal includes add-ons. Timbers deal includes add-ons. But it's all well and good we want to criticise how much Arsenal spent on players, and we use the maximum price tag, don't we, to criticise Arsenal. But when it comes to how much Arsenal have made, we don't then talk about add-ons. So I think there's a little bit of contradictions going on there for those criticisms about the guaranteed and the add-ons. But what I can tell you is they're achievable add-ons for a club like Monaco. MJ10 says, I understand the frustration with Balogun's price. However, people need to understand that the only player who will receive a huge fee are the ones the fans don't want to sell. It's very true. Elmo says, Tom, how much ins and outs do you think will be completed before the end of the transfer window? Pretty fitting that we ain't getting big money now for Tierney to get another player in. I actually think it's more to do with spaces in the squad than necessarily the money. Arsenal would have preferred, of course, to get a fee for Tierney, which, to my understanding, despite some reports yesterday claiming that there's an option to buy, I've not had it confirmed on my end, but certainly I know that Fabrizio Romano and the like have been saying it's a dry loan with no option, and I'd be inclined to lean into their knowledge on that one. So when it comes down to the Tierney move, it's a good loan. Bring him back in 24 with 2 years left on his deal. Hopefully he's had a really good campaign and we can sell him for a very good price. I know that people didn't necessarily want to see him go, and they're saying that, well, Zinchenko's injury prone and Tomiyasu's injury prone, but Tierney is also injury prone. Like, people relying on Tierney to be fit is a bit ironic, to be honest, in that argument. But I'll see what they're saying. But I think in terms of predictions, I think Pepe will leave. I think Cedric will go probably for free. I think Lokonga will get a loan. I think Tavares will be sold. I think Holding will stay. I think Holding will probably stay. I think they just don't think they're going to get the value on Holding, to be honest. But let's wait and see. In terms of incomings, I'm hoping that we get a defender, but I think it probably will just be the one. And even then, it's not. I'm not saying I'm really confident. I think it's 50-50 if Arsenal bring somebody in. Hopefully, we do. Darren says one more good season and Monaco will sell him to Chelsea for 80 million. And in which case, if we got a 20% sell-on clause, then we're going to get 16 odd million quid. And therefore, we would have gone over with the add-ons as well, 50 odd million quid. So happy days indeed. Daniel says, was there a preview for the Fulham game? We combined the preview, Dan, with the morning show. I think it was 2 days ago, because as I'm going away, and I went away yesterday, we haven't been able to fit it in. So we combined it with one of the morning shows, Dan, 2 days ago, which means that you didn't watch. So you've outed yourself. Benji says, been seeing this around lately. So Tom, rank them the entire career, not just the peaks. Rank what? You've not told me what to rank. I'm looking for your name, Benji, but I can't see the comment. I don't know what you're telling me to rank. You've put it again, but I can't see what you're telling me to rank. I have to come back to that if indeed you put the things in the chat box. Oh, here we go. Neymar, Ronaldinho, Bale, Robben, and Hazard. Rank them. Entire careers, not just peaks. Entire career. So in terms of kind of where they're at, what they won, I think Bale is at the top because I think he won. How many is it? 3 Champions Leagues? Maybe 4? I want to get that right. I think it was 3, Gareth Bale. How much did he win? He was always very good. I know he's an ex-Spurs player, but I can just appreciate him for what he was. Champions Leagues, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Champions Leagues. So, I think it's fair to say that with 3 La Ligas, 5 Champions League, a Copa del Rey, a Super Cup, 2 UEFA Super Cups, and 3 FIFA Club World Cups, I think it's, and the only Spurs trophy from 2007, 2008 as well. That in itself is an amazing achievement, getting Spurs a trophy. So Bale was certainly at the top. I then go with Robben after that, then Neymar, then Ronaldinho, then Hazard. The reason why with Ronaldinho, right, and look, I think in terms of talent and raw talent, Ronaldinho is the best player on that list in terms of their raw talent and what they were capable of achieving. But his kind of peak and what he had at the top of his game was a really short period. He won 1 Champions League, 2 La Ligas, and a Supercopa España twice as well. But outside of that, he didn't win anything with PSG. He didn't win anything with AC Milan. He didn't win anything with... Was he anyone else in Europe with him as well? No, he was just with PSG, Barcelona, and Milan. And whilst I actually think that of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that Ronaldinho was the most talented of all of those 5 players, if we're ranking them in terms of career, I mean, it's difficult to even say that Hazard, who technically has won, I don't have to really count, the Champions Leagues that he's won because he barely played in the Real Madrid ones. It says that he won the Champions League with Real Madrid. Oh, no, he didn't win any Champions Leagues with Chelsea, did it? Because he left. He joined the year after they won the Champions League, and he left the year before. I think they won the Champions League. So, Yeah, no, I'd probably stick by that ranking, but you may want to disagree with me. But there you go. So yeah, I think Ronaldinho is the most talented of those, but in terms of their career and what they won across all of them, I think that's probably the right order. But there you go. World Cup, I suppose. World Cup. I'm forgetting it. Yeah, I'm going off clubs, aren't I? Did he win a World Cup? You're testing my knowledge now. Brazil won the World Cup in 2002. Oh, yeah, that changes things a bit. I guess that does change things a little bit. So, and Robin's trophies, I'm sure that Robin won a ridiculous number of trophies. But the World Cup does change things. Wasn't thinking about the World Cup. It's just this is how much that's how little I care about international football. With Bayern Munich, Robin won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Bundesliga titles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 DFB Pokals, a Champions League. He won 2 Premier League titles with Chelsea. He won an FA Cup, 2 Football League Cups. He won the La Liga. He won the Eredivisie in 2000 2003. Got to as a World Cup runner-up in 2010. I think that, he might swap all of those trophies for one World Cup, arguably. And I know a lot of players probably would, swap all their Champions Leagues for a World Cup maybe. But yeah, for me, Bale was at the top of that. I hate the fact he played for Spurs, but I really appreciate Bale's career and the things that he won. To win 5 Champions Leagues is an unbelievable achievement, especially when Real Madrid weren't even winning like all the La Ligas. It's just what they did in that tournament was absolutely monstrous. But I think that maybe Ronaldinho pushes himself up above Neymar, considering he won the World Cup. So we'll go Bale, Robin, Ronaldinho, Neymar, and I can't remember the last one was Hazard at the bottom. So there you go. That's your list from me. But tell me in the comment section below what your list is and your reasons as to why. Okay, other questions. We won't be taking too many more. But let's go. Peter says, why do you think Newcastle are going to gamble on Lewis Hall from Chelsea for upwards of 34 million on loan instead of going for Tierney? Because he's more reliable. They would probably rely on him more. They can invest in him for a longer period of time. And he's already got Premier League experience, of course, still at such a young age. He's a Newcastle fan, so he's got that attachment with the club as well. And I think that, ultimately, there's a lot more reasons to invest money into Lewis Hall than there is to invest money into Tierney. And that's a situation that Tierney's injuries have sadly created down the fact that he's not been able to get into Arteta's team on a regular basis last season. So they've invested in the player that they feel has got more potential and a higher ceiling for them than Tierney. I'm not addressing your silly conversation in the chat box. It's absolutely ridiculous. Gavin says, what do you think of the lack of Balogun price comparisons, Tom? As in how much we paid for Lacazette? Gavin, you have to provide me with some more. You're going to have to provide me with some more clarity on that. Maya says, Tierney is reliable, has Premier League experience, and he'll give the best to anyway. Good luck to him. I'm going to read out Kieran Tierney's injury records just to address a point that Kieran Tierney is supposedly is reliable, because sadly it's just not the case. Injury history for Arsenal. So he has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 7 in the case of Scotland as well. So he missed 19 games with a shoulder injury, 2 games with a groin injury, 6 games with a knee injury, 8 games with a knee injury, 3 games with an ankle injury, and 10 games and had to have knee surgery as well from March through to July, which obviously would have been a longer period, but thankfully some of it was covered by pre-season. That's not reliable, Mayor. It's just not reliable, mate. So, yeah, sorry, but it does not work. Right, we are going to end the show there. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Very much appreciate your time, as always. Thank you to everyone that has indeed tuned in. It is very much appreciated. I hope that you've had a good start to your weekends, and I certainly hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend as well. And I look forward to the game a little bit later this afternoon. I'll be back tomorrow morning, of course, to give you all the latest regarding what happened in the game against Fulham. We're breaking that down in the morning. But thank you for listening. Really appreciate your time. And I'll speak to you soon. And have a great day. And as always, up the Arsenal.